Yo, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're finally going to go ahead and review all the modifications that I have done to my FX, which is this car right here. This is going to apply to technically the QX70, the FX35 for the most part. Some modifications might be a little bit different because it has a slightly different motor than the FX37 and the QX70. Everything is pretty similar when it comes to the outside of the car itself. The only things that will be different is going to be some of the drivetrain stuff, especially for like the FX50. There is another FX as well that I believe is a diesel. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's FX30D, something like that. That's going to be totally different engine as well. So there's a few different variations of this model, but for the most part, exterior wise, they're all the same. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video, go over all the modifications that I have done to this vehicle. We're going to go ahead and start off with the outside, and then we will go ahead and move to the inside of my FX. All right, so here is my Infiniti FX37. As you guys can see, she's looking pretty clean right now. Just gave her a quick wash for this video. I'll give you a quick walk around so you guys can go ahead and see how she looks at its current state. And we're going to go ahead and start off with the front of the vehicle, go over what I've done so far. And I'm going to try to give you guys the costs, but if I don't remember, I'll drop down a picture after I talk about each different item or accessory that is done to the vehicle, so you guys can go ahead and see the cost and pretty much how much I've spent on this car since I've had it. I've done quite a few things since I picked it up. I'll put down a picture somewhere around here how it looks stock. It was completely stock. There was no modifications, nothing at all. Stock wheels, stock headlights, stock everything. So let's go ahead and talk about the front of the vehicle. In the front, the most noticeable thing that you're going to see is going to be the headlights. I went ahead and custom built these headlights myself. I put in some halos. Let me go ahead and get a little bit closer. So I installed these halos right here, as you can see. Blacked out the inner housings, a gloss black. I used a high temp one. You could say I spent about, I think it was $10 for that paint. And then I just picked up the glue on Amazon to reseal it. I got the halos as a gift, actually, both of them, because I believe they're like 50 bucks. So in total, it's about $100 for the halos itself, because I got to get 2 pairs. So they come like as a set. Technically, I spent maybe like 30 bucks because I got these for free. But if you want to go ahead and do this yourself, just pick up a heat gun, the glue, the halos, and you're going to spend somewhere around $150 to be able to do this yourself versus paying somebody else to do it. You're probably going to spend about, I would say, sheesh, maybe, I think $800 to $1,000. It's pretty pricey. There's other things that you can buy as well, which is like the dragon lenses, which look pretty sick. Just the lens itself is $1,000, and then somebody to do it for you, you're gonna have to spend like 500 bucks, maybe more on that. Makes the car look a lot more aggressive. And I made this comment before, I feel like in its stock form it kind of looks like a whale, but after doing like these small details to make it look a little bit more aggressive, it kind of makes it look a little bit more like a shark. So huge upgrade that you can do to your vehicle if you want to change up the front look. That is one thing that I constantly just like look back at my car and say, that looks so sick. And I highly suggest it because the chrome housing, in my opinion, looks really bad. But that's one upgrade that you can do that will change the front look of your car a lot. The next thing is going to be my grille. Right now it doesn't look the best. It has a bunch of watermarks on it, or water spots. But I went ahead and painted that gloss black, left the emblem chrome. That, again, just the spray paint can, that was about maybe 10 bucks. Just sanded it down, added another 5 bucks for that. So about 15 bucks to just go ahead and spray paint my grille a gloss black, along with the bottom portion right here of the fog lights. Those come chrome on the outside, and I painted that with the same spray paint can that I used for that. And then the fog lights, I used a tint that I already had, that I used on a previous vehicle, and I just had it laying around, and I tinted those yellow. You can buy the fog lights that come yellow, or you can just tint them. Tint them is perfectly fine, and I've had no issues. The tint is not very expensive. I think it's probably like 8 bucks for the tint itself. Just putting it on there, and in my opinion, looks a lot better and cleaner. Gives it more like a sporty look, at least in my opinion. As for the front, that is pretty much it. Nothing else is done to the front of the vehicle. I would love to get the lip, but I don't want to spend, $500 for that lip. And I also wanted to do vents on this vehicle, but I really don't want to mess up this hood. The only way I will do it is if I can find another hood for really cheap, It has to be black or it has to be silver. That way I could just, you know, install some vents, give it a more aggressive look. There is a carbon fiber hood available that you guys can pick up, but that's over like $1,000. I really don't want to spend a K, you know, for a hood, but it will look pretty sick on this vehicle, especially being silver and having like the black accents everywhere. It looks really nice. Now let's go ahead and move on to the side profile of the vehicle. I have my Nissan GTR wheels. These are 10.5 all around. The offset I believe is 25 on all of them because they're 10.5. In the stock form, like if you just pick up GTR wheels, they're 9.5 in the front and then 10.5 in the rear. I actually traded a guy that had the same GTR wheels and he wanted to trade his 10.5 for 9.5. I'm not sure why. Maybe these GTR wheels were too aggressive for like a G37, for example, and he wanted to go, you know, with 9.5. So I traded that guy and I ended up getting, you know, 10.5 in the front now along with the rear. Now for this setup, believe it or not, I got it for $400 and I traded a steering wheel that I had laying around from my M45 that I had at the time. So yes, $400 along with trading a steering wheel. Tires, I did have to go ahead and upgrade them because it came with the stock ones from like a GTR. I was running them for a while. I was getting a lot better gas mileage. I think I was staying around like 19 to 20 mpgs when I had the Michelins on here. Once I upgraded to these fatter tires, I dropped down in gas mileage. So I was getting like 19 to 20. Now I'm getting about 17 to 18 mpgs with the fatter tires. The rears are Scorpion tires, Verde, and they are 295 45 20. The front is Arturo. These are like Amazon tires, I believe, and they are 285 40 20. I would like to upgrade the front to 295 as well, 45, because as you can see the rear ones really clean up the gap. Like right now there's probably like a 2-inch or a 2-finger gap. As you can see, the front is about a 3 or 2.5. See that? It's about 3-finger gap. I could be wrong, but I think I spent like $50 on these front tires and they were brand new. And then I picked these up, I believe also for $100. These were actually used with pretty good tread. That's my current wheel setup. GTR wheels, 10.5 all around. And you can probably, I would say you're most likely going to spend about $800 on these GTR wheels, give or take. Now another thing that you're going to notice that I did is I went ahead and did the BBK upgrade, which is the Akibonos. You can find these technically like on a Q70 Sport, Q50 Sport, 370Z Sport, Nismo. They pretty much all mount up, but for the FX, the difference between the other vehicles such as like the Q50, 370Z, they have different rotors in the rear. So they all mount up with no issues. You can buy any Akibono BBK. You just have to worry about the rear rotors. The rear rotors have to be for a Q70, a Q50, M37, M56. Pretty much the larger SUVs share the same rotors in the back. That's the only difference. They all mount up exactly the same. You just need that. You need the banjo bolts, and you just got to trim the duct shield that's in the back. It's like a metal shield that kind of protects the rotor. You got to cut that since it's made technically like for the base model brakes. For this BBK setup, I got an insane deal. I found a crashed Q70 and I hit them up on how much they wanted for them. I think they had said they wanted like $280, and I didn't refuse that offer. Honestly, I was like, that's a pretty good price. Most people are trying to sell the BBK for, I think it's around $500, not including the rotors, and I got the rotors and all the brake calipers for $280, which is an insane deal. So I could not refuse that price. It makes a huge difference, as you can see. Like, just look at how beautiful it looks with these wheels, now painted blue as well. I thought the blue would pop like a lot more, and as you can see, it looks pretty clean. And then for the paint I got it as a gift, but I believe it's like $80. It's a G2 paint as well, and it's honestly lasting me pretty well. I've had it on here for quite some time. There's no chipping, nothing crazy like that. I'm really happy with the overall finish of these calipers. How they look with the wheels, it just complements it extremely well. And then another thing that you're going to notice on the side is I went ahead and painted those vents right there. Just taped it off, painted it. You can remove it, but you got to remove like the wheel well on the inside and all that stuff. I didn't want to go through that struggle, so I just painted it, and it honestly came out really nice. It looks pretty clean. Then right here on the side, I also got these as a gift. The window visors right there. These are pretty pricey, but they're inner channel. I think these are like $100 online. You can get other brands that are a lot cheaper. It gives it a nice clean look, as you can see. Like it just goes on the inside, so it gives it a clean look. I don't like how they look like on top of this. It looks kind of like cheap and you just slapped it on there. Another thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to go ahead and wrap these right here. I just have not had the chance, but I would love to do that. It'll just finish the look along with the bottom right there. Wrapping that black or painting it black is one thing I would like to do. Now she is lowered on H&R lowering springs. I think it was around 50 bucks for the lowering springs, which is insane because they're usually like, I think $200 to $300 for the lowering springs. Paying 50 bucks is a pretty insane deal. Gave it a nice drop. I would say about like 1.5 inches is how much it dropped it. I actually don't have a lot of camber wear after lowering the vehicle. It does extremely well. There's a slight bit of camber, but nothing crazy. I do remember somebody in the comments saying that I was going to have crazy camber wear, that my tires are going to be gone within 500 miles. It's been thousands of miles with the lowering springs. No issues at all. Maybe if you have like really bad struts, you will most likely have issues with bad camber wear, but you know, I haven't had any issues at all with these lowering springs. I think it gives it like a nice subtle drop where it doesn't really affect the camber wear. So if you don't plan on getting upper control arms, this is a perfect option. But if you want to get like BC coilovers or something, and you would have to get those upper control arms. I believe the only ones that are really available are the Megan ones. Those are, I think, like $500 for each pair. So like the back ones are $500, the front ones are about $500. So if you want to lower it like really low, you really have to get those adjustable arms in order to not have so much camber wear and eat through your tires. I would love to lower it more, but I think this is a nice little drop with the tire setup that I have. Nothing too crazy, nothing too expensive, you know, just right. So crazy come up on that as well. Let's go ahead and move over to the back. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the fin. The fin up here, it looks pretty bad, like the stock one. It's like a stick that's just sticking out, and I went ahead and upgraded to this fin right here. I believe it's called a Rebel fin or Ramble. Yeah, I believe it's Ramble, and I think that was like 30 to 40 bucks. I'll link it down below. I can't remember the exact price, but it makes a huge difference. It makes the car look a lot more modern versus like the stock look. The stock look just makes it look kind of cheap, and with my, you know, spoiler and everything, it just puts it together, makes it look really sick. And then going over to the side right here, I actually missed this. I just installed this not that long ago. Rear mud guards. I found a junkyard FX37 that had them on there. I didn't buy the front ones because the front ones were like really beat up. If you go to a junkyard, usually they put like spare wheels on the bottom of it and it smashed it. So I was like, I'm not picking that up. The rear ones were in good condition, and I spent 20 bucks for the rear mud flaps, which makes it look pretty nice. I like it, as you can see right there. Now the spoiler I actually got a really good deal with this company, which is Spoiler King. And honestly, I'm gonna be straight up with you guys, I love this spoiler. I'm so happy I went with the spoiler. Like, it's on here good. This thing has not given me any issues coming off. I know that I've seen a lot of different spoilers that you just slap on, they start popping off, and just look at this thing. This thing is on there. Like, I'll pull it and it pulls on the entire like tailgate. So highly recommend this spoiler. It makes it look really badass, clean. I really like it. And I also have a discount code if you guys go ahead and pick it up. But I love that thing. That thing looks so sick, as you can see right there. Highly suggest it if you guys are interested in picking up a spoiler. This spoiler is for sure a good pickup. That, I cannot remember the price, but I got a good deal on it. I believe it's ranging about $200, somewhere around there, and well worth it in my opinion. The other spoilers that are out there are pretty pricey. This over here, there's another spoiler that goes in the back that I would like to pick up, but they're averaging over 200 bucks, and the nicer ones are like 400 bucks. I would like to get that, but I just have not found like a good price that I'm comfortable paying, you know, for the rear spoiler right there. Now in the back, I did delete the emblem over here that says FX37. Just thought it would look cleaner. I was thinking about deleting that one, but I just haven't done it. And then another item is going to be this right here. I went ahead and blacked out the emblem right there with some 3M vinyl wrap. Came out really good. That I had done, oh, that I forgot to mention this, but I actually wrapped all of this right here that was chrome. I wrapped it a gloss black from 3M. I think it's about 40 to 50 bucks for like an entire roll. I was able to do both sides with that one roll, and I was able to do the back over here as well. I would have liked to use that same roll to do like the handles and stuff like that, but I did not have enough. So I was gonna do the bottom portion of it. Again, didn't have enough, but if I would have ordered another one, I for sure would have had enough to do, you know, the bottom and those handles. But yeah, so 50 bucks for all of that wrap. And then the bottom, so this is actually crazy. I found this diffuser that was for a Mustang. The guy had it, you know, on Facebook Marketplace for a long time. He was not selling it, and then I was thinking, I was like, you know, I really want to change the look of the back of my FX, and I could not find something that I really liked. And on top of that, I think the one that I did find was like $1,000, but it was discontinued, which is like a rear diffuser that's like carbon fiber, and it has fins that molds right there. But discontinued, couldn't find it anymore, so I had to make something custom and different. So I found this Mustang diffuser, and I think I paid like 60 bucks for it. And I just cut it, marked it up, rearranged the fins to flow well, even it out, and made these side ones over here to, you know, clean it up and complete the entire look, because I just had the middle portion. So I had cut like an access piece on the side, and I made that fin. So you can say I spent like 60 bucks on the diffuser. Had to get an extra piece that was about, I think it's like 10 bucks for the PCV plastic material. Cut it out, mocked it up, and there you go. I got my own little custom diffuser that you cannot buy. The company that makes this diffuser is Areo, as you can see right there. It does stick out quite a bit, which doesn't look bad, but if you guys are interested in doing something like this, you know, you can try to find a diffuser that's being sold out there, modify it for your car, and you could possibly make it look like this or even better, because there's different designs out there. Since we're still in the back, I'll talk about my exhaust. So for my exhaust setup, I currently have an Invidia catback, which I believe was for like a G37. And it's just crazy how I picked up this exhaust setup. I actually picked it up in pieces. So the rear portion, which is like the axle back, just technically like this back portion, which I'll kind of show you guys right now, which is like this piece right there. Like just the muffler section, I had found that, and I went ahead and cut my stock exhaust. I mounted that, and it gave it like a different tone. I got that for $100 just for that muffler section, right? I had found that, left it like that for a while. Then actually like a few weeks or months later, I had found the rest of the exhaust at Pit Stop Performance, I think it was, local to Arizona. They were selling it for $100. So I picked up the muffler section, and then I picked up the rest of the axle back for technically like $200. Now I did have to have it welded, add some extra pipe to extend it due to, you know, the platform size. FX37 is a lot longer than the G37, so they had to add a pipe in the middle to go ahead and connect it together, you know, since it is a longer platform. So technically I spent, I would say, about $300 just for this exhaust setup. Now I do have test pipes on my FX. Those I actually picked up, believe it or not, for I think it was like $100. So I technically have like a full exhaust for about $400 to $500 with the custom work that had to be done to the exhaust to make it work. Just the catback alone is worth over $1,000, which is insane. But let me go ahead and throw in a clip right now of how my exhaust sounds. I am tuned on Uprev, so it does pop, it shoots flames and everything. And then another modification that you guys may not be able to see unless I tell you is I actually have an oil cooler right in there. I believe it's like a 34 row. I can't exactly remember. But I got that thing, I think it was for like about 50 to 100 bucks, somewhere around that range. And it's needed with these platforms. Like if you do not have an oil cooler on your car, I highly suggest one, because these cars run extremely hot, especially after tuning them. They run really hot. And I know from experience that they do run extremely hot, because with my 370Z, when I was running it in the summer without the oil cooler, the temps would literally get up to 260 degrees Fahrenheit. I kid you not, 260 degrees is crazy, right? After I installed an oil cooler on my 370Z, it constantly stayed at about 180 degrees. When I would push it, it would get up to 200 to 220, but it never saw 260 ever again after adding an oil cooler. So I highly suggest one for this platform. I can tell you that most of these FXs do come with an oil cooler. Those oil coolers, from my understanding, are not the best, so a lot of people end up modifying them or upgrading them anyway. A lot of people take it off and just add an oil cooler like I did right here. There's a few options out there. I have Mishimoto on my 370Z, never had an issue. I have this cheap one from Amazon, haven't had any issues, and they work extremely well. So highly suggest it. It's one thing that I really recommend. If you guys would like to see how to mock it up, how to install your oil cooler, I have a video on it from start to finish that will really help you guys out if you would like to go ahead and, you know, install an oil cooler on your FX. Okay. Now that we went ahead and talked about everything on the exterior technically, let's go ahead and move to the engine bay. It is a little bit dirty. I should have cleaned it, you know, before showing you guys the engine bay. This is actually one of the main reasons I picked up this platform, is because it came with a VHR. So I knew that a lot of the parts that I could buy for this, you know, vehicle was going to be interchangeable between a lot of different platforms, such as a G37, 370Z, Q50 that have the 3.7 liter, along with like the M37, Q70. A lot of vehicles come with this motor, so it's very accessible, very reliable as well, as long as you take care of it. And to me, it was just a no-brainer on, you know, something I wanted to pick up that was an SUV that came with, you know, a dope motor inside of it. Now let's go ahead and first go over my catch cans. These, I believe I also got those as a gift, but I believe that's about 40 bucks, somewhere on there. Might be cheaper, I can't remember. Again, I'll throw in the prices for everything where I picked it up, so you guys can just click on that link and get it if you want it. But no issues whatsoever with these catch cans. Just make sure that you install the O-rings and everything that go on it, or you're gonna have leaks. I have no leaks whatsoever. They work perfectly fine. And when I do my oil changes, I do check them, and they do have oil in them every single time. So they do actually work and they're functional. And I highly suggest this so you can avoid getting oil inside of your intake manifold and your engine. But there's the oil catch cans. And then I also have these blue hoses that are getting a little bit ugly because of the oil passing through them. But they were like a really nice bright blue. I'll link those down below. They work perfectly fine. Haven't had any issues with them. They're just discoloring a little bit. Usually the hoses that come with this are like black. I thought blue would look a lot better, so I upgraded that. That was not very expensive. I think it was like less than 20 bucks. Then I picked up the grounding kit, which was also somewhere around 20 bucks. So it's all these like blue wires that you see going down over here, over there. I connected it to an already existing ground. I heard really good things about adding, you know, extra grounds to it. From my understanding, adding more grounds helps a lot with the vehicle's, you know, electrical components, starting and stuff like that. Another thing that I did is I went ahead and added these blue bolts right here, little accessories. All of them are 10 mils. So anywhere that I could find that was like pretty visible, I added those, you know, blue little 10 mils just to give it a little bit more pop. And honestly, I really like it. It gives it a nice clean look. There are different options available. I think there was like purple, red, silver, black. So if you guys are interested in different colors, you guys can pick that up as well. So I just, you know, added different ones on there. I even added one right there. Then I got this fake Nismo oil filler cap. That was not expensive either. I think it was maybe less than 20 bucks. And then this right here, I got a crazy deal on. This strut bar right here is actually discontinued. It is from Soulfunction, and that thing runs over, I think it's like 300 bucks. I got that thing for like $100 from OfferUp. This guy was selling it. I'm pretty sure he was having a hard time selling it because this strut bar right here is actually made for like the M45 platform, and As you guys can see, the M45 platform is, you know, not as available like our other vehicles, right? Like the VHRs. Those strut bars sit a lot lower, but because the FX is, you know, a larger vehicle, I was able to make this one work. But for the M45, the tower base sits a lot higher due to the intake manifold. It would actually hit the strut bar if you were to pick up one for like a VHR. So Soulfunction made this specific strut bar for those vehicles, which is like the M45 platform, that have a higher intake manifold. I also went ahead and made my own 2.5-inch long tube intakes. So these couplers right here are from Concept Z Performance, and then I got this tubing for about 80 bucks, and I was actually able to make long tube intakes for my 370Z and also for the FX. Technically spent about 80 bucks on both of my vehicles to make these long tube intakes. For the FX, I did have to buy those couplers, and when I bought these couplers, the guy that I bought them from also sold me his intake boxes, and I cut off this piece right here that connects with the map sensor, or the map sensor, and I went ahead and modified it to make it work. Added these couplers and then made my long tube intakes that go all the way to the front of the grill, as you can see right there. So I spent 60 bucks on the couplers with the intake boxes, and then I spent 80 bucks for the tubing. Then I spent, I think it was about 30 bucks for the filters. So as you can see, I did not spend like a whole lot of money in comparison to buying them, like, you know, from a company that sells them, which I don't believe there is any that sell long tube intakes for the FX. It's a little bit different from like a 370Z. 370Z is a shorter base, so the intake filters sit up like a little bit higher. I did actually test it from my 370Z, and the intakes are like way different. They don't fit. So that is the reason why I decided to make my own intake filters, is because of cost and also availability. So I technically made 2 intakes for the price of like less than 1, which is crazy. So if you guys want to do this, I highly suggest it. You know, allows your car to breathe a lot better, adding the intakes all the way to the front versus having them over here where it's hot. And it does run extremely well. I have had no issues whatsoever having these intakes all the way into the front. The only thing I suggest is make sure you go ahead and add some type of cover when it rains. If it doesn't rain, you shouldn't have like any real issues. Like, I live in Arizona and we hardly get rain, but when it does, I try to avoid, you know, driving this vehicle and try driving my other vehicles. But so far, no issues. Now, one thing I will say is though that I had to add a bracket on this side because there's the AC line. So I added a bracket right here extending down to this to hold it up. So I have no issues with that, so it doesn't rub on the AC line. So that's just one recommendation that I have regarding that. Other than that, there's nothing else done to it. No other upgrades to the vehicle on the engine side. Just a few, you know, cosmetics here and there just to make it look a little bit better. Strut bar does actually help out. It stiffens it out, especially at higher speeds or making turns. It makes a pretty dramatic difference. I would like to add one of those stainless steel reservoirs right there. That would for sure clean up the engine bay. There's also, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but like for the 370Z platform, they have like a coolant and oil catch can made into one reservoir that goes right here. That thing is so badass, but it's very expensive. It's well over 500 bucks. But technically it's like an oil catch can and a coolant system into one, and it goes right in this place, and it's made of chrome, so it looks really sick. I would like to pick that up, but I just think it's, you know, way too expensive, honestly. I got my own catch cans, you know, for technically under like 20 bucks, around 20 bucks. And then this is already pretty clean, like it doesn't look yellow and nasty. But if you wanted to really change it up, you could paint it like black or a different color, which will be completely up to you. But it looks so sick because it has like these filters up here, and then it like has these lines that go in. It looks pretty badass. Alright, now let's go ahead and go into the interior of the vehicle and start going over the modifications in there. Now for the inside of my FX, I don't have too much that's actually done to the vehicle. The only thing that I really have is going to be the paddle shifters, and then I added this cover. I would really like an aftermarket steering wheel. It's one of my items I would like to pick up if I, you know, keep this car for a long time. I would for sure like to pick up an aftermarket steering wheel. I've been on the hunt on, you know, Marketplace to try to find one. So far, haven't had any luck. They're actually the same as a 370Z, so I've been looking for, you know, 370Z steering wheels to see if I can find one. So far, no luck, but they're averaging close to like $400 you know, plus dollars. But paddle shifters, I went ahead and added these on there. I love the paddle shifters. I'm so happy I did it. It just gives the car more like a sporty feel. These paddle shifters, I got them for 60 bucks. And then the housing on the outside, because you need like the housing for this control unit right here in order to make everything like work and not be all like sloppy. You need to have this because it relocates it to the side down here versus being in the way of the paddle shifters. So that I got for 20 bucks. It's around $400 for like the whole paddle shifter and back piece setup. It's pretty crazy. But in the inside, that's really it. I have not done anything else to it. It is completely like stock. Nothing else. I just painted this like blue. I do want to go ahead and fix this. As you can see, it's like starting to pop up. I would like to take off the chrome, paint that black. But other than that, she's completely stock from the inside. There's not much I've really done to, you know, change the inside of the car and how it looks. I would like to do a few things, but I haven't really found anything that's, you know, appealing, at least to me, to be able to do to this car.
Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and end the video right there. It was a really long video. But as you can see, I've done quite a few things to my FX since I've owned it. Overall, the only thing that I really missed is going to be my headlight bulbs. I forgot to add that, but I got those for free from a company that hooked me up with it. And then I'm also going to go ahead and install reverse lights, which are going to be these right here that this company just sent out to me. So these are the reverse ones. The FX comes with like a yellow, nasty looking reverse light. These are an LED that's going to be white and bright, and it's going to look a whole lot better and make your car look newer as well. And that's another thing. I did upgrade all of like the lights inside to LED lights along with the license plate light. Makes a huge difference, especially at night, obviously, because you can see it. So giving it a bright white color just makes it look a little bit more modern, right? More newer. Last thing I want to go ahead and mention, because this is a really long video, I'm going to go ahead and add over here how much I have spent. I have spent about $2,700. Now that price is $2,700 because I didn't add everything technically, because some of the parts I got as gifts, the window visors, my halos, some of those items were given to me as gifts, so I didn't include that in the overall price. That's how much I've spent technically by finding things on Marketplace. I did do a comparison of me buying this stuff like used from Marketplace, and then over here how much you would spend if you were to get everything for like retail, brand new. You're gonna be spending a lot more money getting these things for retail. So $2,700 how much I've spent, and you're gonna be spending about $8,000 just for the parts. So now this is not including labor. Labor costs a lot more. Labor, you're possibly gonna be spending, I would say maybe $2,500 for everything that I have, maybe more, maybe less. So it can get pretty expensive. I like to give you guys an idea of how much you're gonna spend, because not everybody has, you know, money to be able to modify their car. Luckily, I've done a lot of things the cheap way, so I feel like a lot of you guys can relate. But then there's gonna be people that, you know, have that money that just wanna, you know, ball out and just get everything brand new. You can kind of see where you're gonna be at depending on, you know, how much you pay and if you get it used or new. But thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.